Hello YouTubers! Today I'm going to show you how I make Stannous chloride solution. And Stannous chloride solution is indispensable if you're dealing with trying to recover or refine gold. You can't live without it really. It gives you a positive indication if there's gold in your solution and a negative if there isn't. And that's just vital, so you don't wind up throwing away solution that has gold in it or wasting your time and chemicals on solutions that don't. So Stannous chloride is just vital for working with gold. So this is how I make it. If you go on the internet, YouTube, whatever, you'll see various recipes for it. I'm just showing you how I do it and what works for me. And it's super simple. There's only two ingredients: muriatic acid, hydrochloric acid, however you want to pronounce it. And in my case, I'm using tin dust. Now you can use tin shot. I've even made it using tin solder before. But I managed to find some tin dust online, and I like the tin dust because it dissolves much quicker in the acid. So if I need Stannous chloride solution in a hurry, I can make it real quick with the dust. Whereas if I have to dissolve shot or solder, it takes a while. But there are other ways to do it if you're not in a hurry. And the tin dust can be a little hard to find, but I found it online and bought it, and it works really well for me. So I'll show you the recipe here. Okay, I've weighed out 2.5 grams of tin powder. Close, 2.5, close, a little over. I don't see the proportions as being really super critical. I think you can go, pretty much wherever you want with this and still get a workable solution. I just, have standardized on 2.5 grams of tin powder and 50 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. So that's it. That's all you need. Just those two items. Super simple, like I said. Not much of a recipe. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to dump it right in here. And you'll get an immediate fizzy reaction. Unless it's really, really cold. This is probably gonna go pretty quickly using the powder. There we are. Now it's on a hot plate in my fume hood. I happen to have a fume hood. I built it myself. I have a whole series of videos on how I built this fume hood, so you can check those out if you like. But you could do this without a hot plate or even without a fume hood. It's just going to take a little while longer for the tin metal to dissolve in the acid. But the hot plate, and I'm not trying to boil it here, I'm just trying to warm it up so that the reaction goes a little faster. So I've got it on fairly low heat right now. And I will probably, because it's getting close to lunchtime, I'll probably go have some lunch while I'm waiting, and when I come out, all the metal will probably be dissolved. So that's how I do it. Like I said, you don't need a fume hood, but it does come in handy because a lot of fumes will be evolved from this. You've got the hydrochloric acid fumes coming off, plus you've got the hydrogen coming off. Certainly you don't want to do this in an enclosed space. You don't want to do it anywhere where there's kids around or animals. But you can do this anywhere, where you can tolerate a few fumes, outdoors, whatever. Someplace that's well ventilated. Like I said, with no kids or animals around to tip it over or get into it. And it shouldn't take too long. And I'll show you the results and talk a little bit more about it when it's dissolved. Okay, it's been not quite an hour, and all of the metal has dissolved. There's a little bit of black sediment in there. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure why it's there sometimes and not others. But there's a little bit of black sediment. So what I like to do is just filter the liquid. Got a little filtration set up here. And I'm just going to filter it and leave whatever that sediment is behind. So this will take a little while. Not going to make you watch it all. It's pretty slow, but it'll be nice and clear and clean after this step. Now let me show you what's so great about Stannous chloride solution. It'll show you if you have gold in solution. Now this is my standard gold solution. It's just a very weak solution of chloroauric acid. I had a very weak solution. I knew there wasn't much gold in it. I just set it aside to use it as a standard solution rather than trying to recover the gold from it. So let me put a few drops of this on a white spoon. I'm a proponent of the white spoon method. Some people will use filter paper or whatever. I like the white spoon method. It works for me. Now I'm going to put a few drops of the Stannous chloride solution I just made on here. See the color change? And it's getting darker as we watch. Yeah. That is a positive for gold. Now this is a very weak solution. There's not much gold in there at all. But look at how strong that indication is. So, Stannous chloride test is very sensitive for gold and for other precious metals too, platinum, other metals. You can look online and see what color it turns with other metals. With gold, it turns sort of a purplish black. With platinum, it'll be more of an orange. But it's a very sensitive test, so I know that there's gold in this solution. More importantly, the reason I have this test solution is I know the Stannous chloride I just made works. This stuff doesn't last forever. In fact, I don't trust it if it's more than a couple weeks old. So what I'll generally do is I will test it to make sure, I'll test it with this stuff and make sure it still works before I'll use it to test a solution that I suspect has gold in it, just to make sure I don't get a false negative, because this stuff will go bad. From what I've read, light, heat, and exposure to air all make it go bad over time, and usually within a couple of weeks. So I always test my Stannous chloride solution to make sure it still works before I trust the results when I'm testing an unknown solution. So you should test yours too. You should have a standard gold testing solution handy that you can use to make sure your Stannous chloride solution is still good. I store my Stannous chloride solution in a glass stopper bottle like this. Now this is not the ideal way to store it. Ideally I'd store it in like a brown glass bottle, but I don't have a spare brown glass bottle, so I store it in this one. But I keep this in a dark, cool place when I'm not using it, so that the solution doesn't break down terribly fast. It's got a nice ground glass stopper on it to keep air out, so there's not an excess of exposure to air with it, and that helps it last a lot longer. I've also read, and I don't know if it's true, but hey, it was on the internet, so it must be true, right? That if you add a little extra splash of hydrochloric acid to your Stannous chloride solution before you bottle it up, it will help it last longer. I don't know if that's true, but I've been doing it. So I generally add about another 10 milliliter splash to it before I put it in the bottle. And I don't know, I'd have to do some side-by-side comparisons to see if I'm getting any extra life out of it or not. But yeah, doesn't hurt anything, so I do it. Anyway, that's how I make my Stannous chloride solution, and that's why it's so useful to those of us who are into the gold refining and recovery. And I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.